Hello students, and welcome to this lesson about solving square root equations. Our objective today is that we will solve square root equations using journal notes and practice problems. Alright, so first off we need to remember what we're working with, and that's going to be a square root. And remember that the square root function is that function which returns all of the values, or the square root values, of any input that you give it. And these are things such as f of x is equal to the square root of x. So if I input, say, 9, then I would be saying f of 9 is equal to the square root of 9, and we all know that that's going to be 3. Because 3 times 3 gives you 9, and the square root of 9, so 3 squared gave you 9, and then the square root of 9 is 3. So it's answering the question, what squared will give you 9? Alright, so now that we have that readily defined, let's talk about solving an equation that has a radical in it, but that is not only about the radical. So we'll first talk about solving by isolating the radical. And isolate is this fancy word for getting something by itself. So if you're isolating something, you're getting it all by itself. So how can we apply that to an equation? So if we look at example 1 here, I'm going to work square root of x plus 7 is equal to 16. And the question is, where does a radical fall in our normal step-by-step process of solving? Well, remember that we have SADMAP. And a good way to remember where the square root falls in SADMAP is the fact that the square root of x is the same thing as saying x to the 1/2 power. So a square root of x is saying the same thing as x to the 1/2 power. So you see that 1/2 power is an exponent. So e, our exponents, are also where our radicals fall. So a square root will fall in the same order of operations as the exponent. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve this expression here, now that we know that. So, we run through SADMAP, right? We have to get rid of subtraction first, then addition. Well, I do see some addition, so minus 7 on each side. And so then you get square root of x is equal to 9. And then, to get rid of the square root, the opposite of a square root is going to be a square. So we want to square both sides. And we'll see that x is equal to 81. Now, when we're working with our radicals, or our square root functions, we want to check every single solution that we get and make sure that it actually works. So let's go ahead and plug it back in. So we have square root of x plus 7 is equal to 16, and we plug in 81, so the square root of 81 plus 7 is equal to 16, and we get that 9 plus 7 is equal to 16, and this is true, so we are happy right here. Alright, so another thing that we can do is we can solve it by graphing. So the way that we would do this is you would take your graphing calculator, and in y1, if I wanted to know, given the expression p is equal to 1.4 times the square root of x minus 1980, and I wanted to know the x value for which p is equal to 5.94. What I can do is I can input my equation into y1. So I can say y1 is equal to 1.4 square root x minus 1980, and then for my y2, I can input my intersecting line, p is equal to 5.94. Alright, so when we graph this, and you'll have to change your window a little bit, maybe zoom fit will be helpful here. What you'll see is you'll see some line representing our second function, y2, And then you'll see your curve of your original function here. And you'll see that it intersects at some given point. And that's going to be where a solution occurs. Now remember that your graphing calculator has the intersect function that you can use to help you out. And to access that, you press second trace 5 and then enter, enter, enter. I believe that 5 is the correct thing for the intersect function. And what you'll get is you'll get some point, and you find out that when y is equal to 5.94, x is approximately 1998, approximately. And that'll be your answer here. Alright, so with that knowledge, you can go ahead and do your first homework out of the book. So go ahead and do the first homework, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.